This year's CitizenCon was shorter than usual, but packed with meaningful information. Here's a breakdown of the key announcements, and I still recommend watching the full presentation to capture all the details. The event opened with positive news, the game is more stable, player activity is growing, and meaningful progress has been made. Dynamic events, new missions, additional locations, and gameplay systems are gradually expanding the universe. One of the biggest reveals right away is that the new star system is coming later this year, the Nyx. This is an industrial frontier system located near the edge of Vandal space. Unlike Pyro, Nyx is not completely lawless. It's more like forgotten industrial territory with people who have made it their home. The system is controlled by the People's Alliance, a faction trying to distance itself from the old UEE. Expect abandoned industrial ruins, massive gas clouds, and derelict structures filled with valuable salvage or resources. For the time being, Nyx will be accessible from both Pyro and Stanton via the jump points. This will change at a later date because Stanton and Nyx are not supposed to be rather close by. This also marks the return of Delmar and Levski, the iconic mining base in an asteroid. The Pyro story will come to an end, and the Nyx story will begin. The new chapter will conclude transitioning us into a narrative of Nyx, a new faction called the Intertech, which we will take part in assisting with their activities. Essentially a UEE-backed contractor group tasked with investigating illegal technologies trafficked to the other systems, which we saw with Save Pyro Initiative. Along the way, players will face hostile raider factions and Vandal forces with their own agenda. Expect story progression similar to what we experienced in Pyro, possibly delivered through evolving events and missions. Everything also suggests that the Nyx could launch at the end of this year, and this is backed by the Genesis system. This showcase also revealed bits and pieces of their system they are working on. It's a massive upgrade to planet and biome generation. This tool will make planetary surfaces more diverse, realistic, and handcrafted in appearance. It will be also used to rework the Pyro and Stanton in the future. In a way, it can make also exploration feel unique in Star Citizen and be a great leap forward to the actual world we are visiting. All of the 3 planets in the Nyx system will have each unique environmental identities and terrains, built using this new technology. Great forest, plains, mountains, swamps, it can all be massive, and they actually did show us glimpses of that technology last year. Another standout location is the Rock Cracker. These are industrial facilities built into asteroids that are pretty huge and have a function to crack slightly smaller asteroids, which are also very huge because apparently you can fly several ships inside of one. These stations will require players to power them up, making them valuable and contestable locations, perhaps perfect for PvP and future crafting gameplay systems. So potentially they are high risk, high reward locations, and you also need to deal with the present NPCs and all the intricacies of restarting the systems of the station. Okay, but let's head over to ship reveals. This time we only got 3. There was no big ship teaser like last CitizenCon, and these 3 are the Anvil Guardian, powerful gunship variant focused on heavy combat, Esperia Vandul Stinger, a heavy fighter inspired by the Vandul Blade or Vandul ship series, Grey Market Shiv. This has to be the most unique ship yet, built from mixed parts of several ships. A rugged scrap-built outlaw vessel with character. All 3 ships are combat focused and carry strong identities. I suspect more ships are still to arrive later this year, so this isn't the full lineup of course of what we are getting this year, as we have more events coming, and with probably a new system, a new ship will appear as well. Within the Nyx system, we'll also be introduced to 3 new types of weapons. The Hybrid Carabin, basically a space AK, fires alternating between energy and ballistic shot. It looks like a duct-taped battlefield repair job of an AK. Heavy Machine Gun, a massive handheld weapon with extreme stopping power and brutal recoil. Triple Grenade Launcher, fires 1 round with 3 shots, designed for close quarters destruction. And additionally, binoculars are coming for scouts and support. Though unless tagging or spotting mechanics are added, they'd be more of a fun utility than a necessity. Also, the crafting is expected to begin this year. Before base building arrives, we will be introduced to crafting in phases. The first iteration, coming in next 2 months, 3 months, will allow players to purchase crafting stations and produce weapons and armor using gathered materials. You can call for this tool via the freight elevator. Ship weapons will most likely also be craftable, and so might be the ship's modules. Material quality and variety will affect crafting results, and this first version will be most likely simplified for testing and likely evolving over time. Another important part was the instanced missions. They are finally coming, like the dungeon-style missions or mission chains inside unique locations. Levski will feature one of these missions at the heart of the station. Instancing is still expected to be seamless, like entering Quantum Drive or traveling with an elevator or something similar. One major surprise is the Siege of Horizon, which will be becoming an instanced mission. However, this type of a mission will require players of around 15 to 20 plus, suggesting many future large-scale missions may lean towards raid-style gameplay rather than small dungeon groups. That could be a challenge. Finding 20 skilled players online at the same time isn't always easy, but then again, that's what the raid nights are for. Additionally, tactical strike group missions are coming. These are large operations which will include evolving objectives and group-focused roles. Capital ships might be forced into support roles, as refueling and rearming fighters will become a thing for some of these bigger ships from their onboard hangars. Now add repair there and we might got something. So the idea is that some of these small ships might be used to focus on objectives, to break through the lines, deal with encounters which are present, and eventually carve a path for the capital to be useful in an encounter. We will be seeing one of these scenarios with the Nyx, and I'm not so sure how it will play out, as there are some delicate things happening, and I do not want to spoil it all, but you may have seen something big already happening in this video. There was quite a bit more information within this 2 hours and 15 minutes. I highly suggest watching it. And sadly, there weren't any news about Squadron 42, any updates, not even a word, not even mentioned this year. I am not certain they are on track with the 2026 release, but at the same time, I suspect they will release more information about Squadron, either at the end of this year or at the start of the next one. I feel like the biggest letdown was that there was no long-term ship teaser at this CitizenCon, because that just gives so much speculation, so much guessing, and confirms actually some of the old concepts which are yet to be released. But then again, because they kept it so short this year, it gives me potential that they are not really moving resources around to host the CitizenCon as heavily as they did last year, and actually putting in some real work with the game. And if they did manage to get the Genesis system functioning properly and actually creating immersive, unique environments and biomes, I think this will be a game changer. And now we just need to add the roads and facilities into that creation, into that whole mix of things, rivers, everything, so that we would have actual roads, patrols, and living, breathing world. But yeah, baby steps. Hopefully everything will be functioning better than they usually are. And once again, I highly suggest watching that video. It wasn't too long, 2 hours and 15 minutes was the core of the content. So yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and thanks for watching.